All right. All right.
You got a name change, man? I like this Walker. I've had it for a long time.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Finance Subcommittee 2, where we deal with local tax infrastructure and authority here. So glad to be here with this committee. I have the clerk first to open the roll for attendance. Technical difficulty? May we do a voice roll call, please? There it is. Members indicate that your presence here on the screen. Clerk, close the roll. Madam Chair.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm so sorry to have this confusion on your first meeting of chairing, but I wanted to make sure that the audience understood, as well as the viewing audience, that I had announced at full committee that the two members on this committee would be Delegate Ware and Delegate Walker. And there has been a little confusion on that, so while you're seeing on attendance Runyon and Walker, it will be, in fact, as announced, Delegate Ware and Walker. And that change has been, the clerk is making it even probably as I speak. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. A quorum is present, so again, the Committee on Subcommittee 2 on Finance, dealing with local tax infrastructure, will now come to order. The very first thing we need to do is to do some administrative tasks, and so members, I would like to indicate that HB 345 with Delegate McLaughlin, the patron has asked for this bill to go by for the day. Is there a motion? HB 345, Delegate McLaughlin is asked to go by for the day. Is there a motion?
Motion to go by for the day, Mr. Chair.
Is there a second? All right, it has been moved and properly second that HB 345 will go by for the day. This is a voice vote. All those who are in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed have the same right. All right, so HB 345 by McLaughlin will go by for today. All right, so here we are. We have a full docket. So here we are inviting patrons who are on the docket to offer their defense of their legislation. And then as I call up those patrons, they will opportunity have to speak on their pieces of legislation. And then I will offer questions for members of the subcommittee in there. And then I will have in-person witnesses who are in the room who are for the bill and those who are opposed. And if we have anybody who is on virtual testimony, at this time, we'll also offer the same right, and then we'll have the patron to come back with some last words, and then we'll move forward from there, and we'll go down the docket. Any questions so far with the members of the committee? All right, so let us go on, and so we have within our block, we are going to call first. I'll see who's in the room. We'll call Delegate Simons with HB 261.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
I see you.
HB 261 simply adds the City of Newport News to the list of localities authorized to tax land and improvements at different rates. This authority already exists for several other Virginia cities. The bill does not set tax rates or require any changes in local taxes. It merely gives Newport News the same option that other cities have to consider a split rate property tax should the City Council choose to pursue it after a public notice and a hearing. When paired with existing zoning, this approach can help provide tax incentives to build additional housing in Newport News. This approach is pro-development, intended to allow local governments to encourage reinvestment, efficient land use, and development while retaining full local control over whether and how the authority is used. This bill I am carrying on behalf of my city of Newport News, and I do have our government relations person here today, but I respectfully ask for your support of HB 261. Thank you, Madam Chair.
All right, thank you to the patron. Do members of the committee have a question? I see the delegate from Buckingham, Delegate Garrett.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Delegate Simons, have you looked at Delegate Carlson's HB 282? And is it essentially the same thing that would do this, I think, and I'm trying to make eye contact here, in Charlottesville and Falls Church as well? This is not sharpshooting. I'm not out to get you, but I'm just wondering if it's the same thing, and if so, might we be more efficient if we threw Newport News in with Charlottesville and Falls Church, or would that be seen as a favorable or unfavorable amendment? I would go either way.
Madam Chair, I actually am not familiar with Delegate Carlson's bill. It's probably helpful just to leave them separate, since my city asked me to carry it and her city probably asked her to carry it, but it is considered to be an efficiency measure to make sure that landowners are incentivized to use the highest value of their land.
All right, thank you, Delegate. And yes, each piece of legislation needs to stand on its own. And so I would ask any of the members of the committee, do you have any questions? There are, Delegate Ware? Walker, gotcha.
So you mentioned there were several other localities, so I'm not real familiar with that. Do you have any idea what localities may be? I know you're representing Norfolk, but when you mention this, I haven't.
I'm representing Newport News, and I believe it is the city of Fairfax, Poquoson, Richmond, and Roanoke.
Thank you very much. I see that now. Delegate Garrett, help me out. Thank you, Madam.
Thank you, Delegate. Any other questions from members of the committee? Seeing no other questions, I would like to offer any in the room who would like to testify in support of this piece of legislation, please come forward.
Good afternoon, Madam Chairman, members of the committee. I'm Jerry Wilson. I'm the Government Affairs Manager for Newport News. We appreciate Delegate Simons bringing this bill on our behalf, and we strongly support it.
Hi, Madam Chairman. I'm Laura Bateman, representing Virginia First Cities Coalition, and we are also supportive of the bill.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, DJ Spike here with the Virginia Realtors, and we also support the bill. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Is there anyone else in support of this bill? All right, is anyone in the room who is opposed to this piece of legislation? Please come forward. All right, do we have any virtual testimony? Seeing none? All right, I'll come back to members of the committee. We have Delegate Walker. Gotcha. All right, Delegate Keys-Gamarra.
Madam Chair, I have a motion.
At the proper time, we'll entertain a motion. Thank you, Delegate. I would like to offer last words to the patron.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think that localities are trying to figure out how to incentivize more affordable housing, and I think this is just a tool that we can use to encourage the owners of parking lots to maybe, use their land for a higher purpose. So I would appreciate everyone's support. Thank you.
All right, so thank you to the patron on HB 261. The committee operates on motion. Delegate Keys tomorrow.
Madam Chair, move to report.
Second.
All right, has been moved and properly second to report HB 261. The clerk, open the roll. All right, HB 261 has been reported with a vote of 8 yeas, 1 nay. Thank you, clerk, close the roll.
Thank you.
All right, got it? All right. So the next patron on the list will be Delegate Cole, HB 72. Please come forward.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. I won't belabor your time because you just heard the exact same bill, with the exception of for the city of Fredericksburg. I do have a representative here who's able to ask any questions, but I hope that this committee will look favorably upon me, as you just did my venerable colleague before me.
All right, thank you, Delegate Cole. For HB 72, we have seen this exact piece of legislation where localities have specific needs and have advocated to be added to the list. Any questions from the subcommittee? All right, so those who are in support of this legislation, I would ask that you would come forward. All right, is there anyone in? Oh, we have one person.
Thank you, Madam Chair. DJ Spiker, Virginia Realtors. We also support this bill.
Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Question. Yes, Elliot Ware.
Could I ask a question on this? Could you give me an example of how this would operate? If the cities are authorized to do this, we've got a lot of land downtown. What happens to that lot of land? What does the city do?
Sir, Madam Chair, Delegate Ware, I've been directed by our folks to support the bill. I don't have specific examples on that, but I believe the delegate who's shaking his head may be able to.
Okay.
Thank you.
There's somebody in the audience that could speak to that.
Madam Chair, Mr. Ware, Delegate Ware, I'm Preston Bryant, representing the city of Fredericksburg. The city of Fredericksburg, this is permissive. The city council hasn't decided to do this just yet. It is an incentive to, if they were able to tax vacant land at a lower rate, it's an incentive for others to come in and develop that property, whether it is for residential housing or commercial or industrial. They would have, their structure would be at a higher rate. It can be in consultation with the Commissioner of Revenue neutral. Some parcels may vary, but it's not meant to be a tax increase necessarily. It's to prevent, it can be revenue neutral, but it's to allow them to further incentivize folks to develop vacant land.
So could I do a follow-up?
Delegate Ware.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So Land X, the city of Fredericksburg takes up the option that we would presumably give them. Again, I'm not clear on how this would actually operate. What would happen with this particular piece of land? They've now taken this authority that the General Assembly has hypothetically given them, and it's land that they'd like to see developed in housing, which is what has been the stated goal of this, to make more housing available. Take me through the steps by which we would arrive at that.
Yeah, first they would have to do a public notice, and then the city council would have to permit there to be an ordinance to this effect. The city, in consultation with the Commissioner of Revenue, would do a study. They wouldn't do a particular parcel and tax different parcels differently, but they would adopt a policy that would allow them to tax vacant land or land at a lower rate than an improved parcel. And it would be a citywide policy allowing that. It would be a set rate for the land and another set rate for land with improvements.
All right, thank you. Delegate Garrett.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Mr. Bryant. I'm just, there's a lot of vacant land where I live. I don't understand how having a lower rate for vacant land encourages the construction of improvements on land. Can you help me?
Yeah, I mean, conceptually, if you have a vacant property and it's a lower tax rate, it can encourage developers or others to come in and improve that land.
At which point,
how long it stays at that rate is I don't know.
You got me.
Delegate Ware, you have a follow-up?
Madam Chair, yes, thank you. But then it's not vacant land anymore.
That's correct.
So
That's
it
my
is
understanding.
encouraging the transfer of the vacant land by having it be at a lower rate with the theory that maybe someone will develop it. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
All right, thank you. Delegates, we have Chair Watts.
I understand because we have a member absent that I have the privilege of speaking. So the specific bill, however, before us says that the land must always be at a higher rate than let me get it exactly before me, that shall not exceed the rate of tax on the land. So that means that the tax on the land would always be more than the improvements under the legislation that we have before us on all three of these bills. I had always interpreted this as being a redevelopment incentive, that if what is built on that land needs to be redeveloped, that's why you go in and make this change. Do I have it wrong?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the scenario?
Pardon?
Can you repeat the scenario? Are you speaking under existing law?
On line 20 of the bill, it says that the tax on the property, starting on line 19, described in subsection A shall not be zero and shall not, however, exceed the rate of tax on the land. So that is where we have inserted Fredericksburg.
Yeah, I believe all of this does is add Fredericksburg to that list of four
That's
cities.
correct. So
Yes.
that the description is Madam Chairman, I'm sorry, Madam Chairman, may I have a follow-up question? Thank you, Madam Chairman. That therefore, as you described it, you had the land at a lesser rate. The bill before us says that the land must always be taxed at a higher rate than the lower rate of the property. And that would be true for all three bills that we would be hearing that have been separately requested. So I'm starting on, Madam Chairman, I'm starting on line 19 and 20.
That's existing law, yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Do you have a follow-up, Madam Chair?
So I see we have another speaker who might be able to clarify. I want to make sure that what the cities are requesting as described to us, that the legislation before us goes in the direction that they want to go. We have the option of, if that's the way Fredericksburg sees how they can encourage redevelopment, you could put them with Poquoson that has it the opposite way. But I want to make sure that there's clarity in which cities, which grouping they want to be in.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Is there someone else that can speak in support of this bill?
Hi, Jerry Wilson, City of Newport News. So I have been living in land value tax land for a while now, learning how we would do it and how people that use it. So essentially what the land value tax does is theoretically it takes the value of land and you pay tax on land. So if you take that 20-acre parcel or whatever and you tax it at a certain rate, that's the tax you pay, regardless of whether you put a house on it, whether you put a condo on it, whether you put a bunch of apartments on it. The idea being that vacant land sitting there unused is not helping us develop more housing. So the idea that taxes are a disincentive to development. So if you tax just the land, the person is paying the same amount however they improve it. And so there are a number of different scenarios that you can get to make this work, because the goal is hopefully for it to be revenue neutral. So instead of a strict only the land is taxed, the improvement's not taxed at all, what most cities do when they implement this is you do the math and you figure out, how do you make it so that it comes out that you're paying about the same at first. So you would tax the land at a much lower rate than you would the improvement. And that way you still encourage development, but you're not, going to the point where you have to restart your budget all over again. Does that make any sense? So if you have a very big house on a very small piece of land, there's a good chance your taxes are going to go down. If you have a house on a lot of land, or if you have a vacant building on a lot of land, there's a chance that in this scenario your taxes would go up. But then you would have the incentive to put something on that land, because the revenue that you earned from whatever you put on the land is going to offset the cost of your taxes.
Madam Chair, do you have a follow-up?
So just for clarification then, as you have described it, you subscribe to that. What you say is that the land would always be at a higher rate than what the improvement would be, and therefore the bill before us is the way in which you want to carry out what you just described.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Is there anyone else here in support that can speak to this bill? All right. Is there anyone in the room that will speak in opposition to this bill? All right. Do we have anyone online? Okay. All right. So I'll bring it back to subcommittee members. We have a question on the floor. Delegate Keys-Gamarra.
Just for clarification, from the person, I think from Fredericksburg, does that mean moving forward that once that land is taxed at that rate never changes, irrespective of what is built on the land?
I can't say that it would never change. Tax assessments change all the time, but the idea would always be that the value, that what you're paying tax-wise is on the land and not the property. So, not the improvement. So that let's say you build 4 units or whatever on your land, and later you want to come back and build 4 more, we don't want to do anything that would cause that improvement to then be taxed. So the land would be, I guess, the static value, that whatever the tax rate on the land would be kind of the status quo, and then the rate on the improvements would be much lower and stay that way.
Thank you, Delegate. Is there any other questions from the committee? All right, I will allow the patron to have last words.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Again, this bill is just permissive for the city of Fredericksburg, so even if you look favorably upon it, the city of Fredericksburg will still have to enact it themselves. And this is just giving them more tools in their toolbox to do what they need to do for development.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you for the patron for HB 72. Just again, this is incremental, it's locality specific, and just it does not remove guardrails. And so it is consistent with the precedent that we've already set already. And so this committee moves by motion.
I move to report.
Any second?
Second.
It has been properly moved and seconded to report HB 72. Clerk, open the roll. All right, it has been reported HB 72 is yeas are 9, nays are 1. It reports. Thank you,
Madam Chair, members of the committee.
All right, so we will hear the same authority here with HB 282 with Delegate Carlson.
Thank you, Chairwoman. Anthony, may I begin?
Yes, you may.
Ditto. No. I will add that I am, too, seeking to add to this permissive statute the city of Charlottesville. I'm also doing Falls Church because Delegate Simon had the foresight to tell me to put his locality in my bill. So I did, and I'm doing that for him also at their request. It's a priority of Charlottesville. I will also add, happy to take questions, Delegate Garrett, if you have them, but hopefully you've gotten your answers. Charlottesville did do a study on this 2 years specific to their locality that showed that this would actually, they anticipated would result in a 19% decrease on homeowners' taxes. The tax revenue would almost be neutral, but it would shift some of that tax burden to developers, but in a good way in that it would incentivize them to do the highest and best use of their land. So it would incentivize them to develop it so that they can start making more profit. So that's how they're hoping to use it. I can answer more questions, but I would ask to be added to the statute.
All right, thank you to the patron. Do we have any questions by the committee? All right, is there anyone in the room in support of this piece of legislation? Please come forward.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the committee. David Blunt with the Thomas Jefferson Planning District, which includes the city of Charlottesville. And as the delegate had indicated, the city does support the bill.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. Cindy Mester with the City of Falls Church speaking in support of this bill. We see this as a tool that's been described by the other localities and also as another option for affordable housing as we look at preserving existing housing so it's not torn down to a mixed use, and also can look at our new accessory dwelling unit authority. Thank you.
Madam Chair, I'm Laura Bateman with Virginia First Cities. All of our cities would love this authority. I think probably a lot of localities across the state would like it. But for our cities in particular, it's a great tool, and I think very much in keeping with a recent executive order to help get properties back into their highest and best use.
All right, thank you.
Madam Chair, DJ Spiker, Virginia Realtors, we also support the bill. Thank you.
All right, is there anyone in the room who is in opposition to this legislation? All right, we don't have any online testimony for this. I will bring it back to the committee. Any further comment or questions?
Motion.
Chairman Watts.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. At this point, I would observe that without Delegate O'Rourke's parliamentary consultation, I will assume that this subcommittee does not have to put these bills into one bill. But I will check before full committee to see whether or not that is an appropriate motion to incorporate them all into one bill at that time. And I'm assuming that that's parliamentarily okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I will allow the patron to have last words.
I have no final words. I guess I did. I guess I had a final word.
All right, thank you. We have HB 282, Delegate Carlson. Committee operates on motion.
Move to report. Second.
It has been properly moved and seconded to report HB 282. Clerk, open the roll. All right, clerk, close the roll. It reports HB 282, yeas 9, nays 1. Thank you. All right, so in the same vein, I'm going to call on Delegate McNamara with HB 10, and he also has HB 68. We will hear afterwards.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. Appreciate the opportunity to speak to you today. So we heard over the last 3 bill presentations, there's a lot of support for something. I heard we were increasing, lowering the price of the improvement. I heard we were lowering the price of land. I think the bills that we saw were lowering the price of improvements, which hopefully everybody got what they thought they were getting. But what this bill, I think from a tax policy perspective, Roanoke County didn't call, or Salem didn't asked me to carry the bill. The City of Roanoke already has the capability. But from a tax policy perspective, if it is truly good policy, which I believe it is, then why would we not make it optional across the entire state rather than having all sorts of individual different carve-outs? That's point one. Point two is we have certain localities that think the improvement should be taxed lower. Pocosin thinks the opposite. There are scenarios that I would argue make for increased housing stock for both ways. So the way my bill is structured somewhat differently than the three you just heard is it makes it across the state. It also says you can have the lower price on the improvement or you can have the lower price on the land. It's totally up to you as a council. Why would people want to do it differently? Well, they may want to have a lower price on the improvement because they want to make it more expensive to sit on land to encourage development. And in fact, there are many studies that show that this bill could increase development somewhere in the area of 3 to 5%. Why would we want it the other way? Suppose we are significantly built out. We are Arlington City as an example. And we have a very modest house that is on land that is priced at, the land's worth $1 million. The 1950 house might be worth $200,000. And we are pushing these senior citizens off of their houses and their properties because they can't afford the total assessments, which is being driven by the land. So in that scenario, you may want to do the exact opposite, and you may want to have the lower tax rate on the land to allow people to stay in their houses. So this bill, my bill, it just really makes it up to the locality for their individual specific requirements, what works best. I will say from a personal property tax, there are roughly 20 different classifications. Real property, we only have one. So it really doesn't make sense. So this will give us two classifications, land or improvement. This isn't a tax increase bill. It is just a flexibility tool. The other suggestion I may have is just this may or may not be viewed as special legislation, which will require 67 votes. It may not be ruled as special legislation by the Speaker, but it may be. So I think, if we just go ahead and do a bill that covers the state, we're doing the right thing. I'd be happy to answer any questions, and thank you for your time today.
All right, thank you to the patron. Are there questions with the committee? Any questions? Delegate Carroll.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Delegate McNamara, you spoke about the bill making the change of the classifications. I know the previous three bills talked about stabilizing the land, stabilizing the improvements and incentivizing it from a land perspective. From what I understood, your bill would give the localities the differentiation to classify either land or improvements at tax incentive dispositions?
So the bills that I think we just passed.
Okay.
The bills I think we just passed allows us to tax the land higher than the improvement. Okay, I believe that's what those bills said. Now, Pocosin does the opposite, right? And what my bill does is it says, hey, it's an open slate. Rather than having an exception for Pocosin or these others, which are both doing it different, it doesn't matter. Any locality can have the differentiated tax rate. And a locality may choose to incentivize the land. They may choose to incentivize the improvement. They can go either way at their flexibility. And I'll be glad to give a couple more examples on why people would want to do that if it'd be helpful.
Is there a follow-up, Delegate?
There is, Madam Chair. Just not sure from a statute perspective if specifically under the statute, if we're permitted to offer the localities the differentiation positions to be able to take, whether it be land and or the development. I know specifically the three bills we saw before specifically gave specific examples in line with what the current code says. It sounds as if your bill would change the code and give localities a different variation that's different than what we're currently seeing.
May I answer?
Yes, go ahead.
Delegate, you're exactly right. Each one of those three bills will change the code. Right now in code, people can't do it. Unless it's spelled out in the code. So those three bills will change code just the same as this bill would. This bill will change it for everyone versus changing it for bits and pieces and parts. And my suggestion would be, if it's good for some of these localities, why would it not be good for other localities?
All right, thank you. Delegate Cole.
Yes. So with being able to, in a sense, have it both ways, depending on what the locality chose to incentivize, what would prevent a locality that was being a bad actor from actually imposing a tax that would be intentional to push someone off of their land?
So they can't do it to an individual, or you can't zero in on a data center, or you can't zero in on a commercial property. You have to do it uniformly across your entire jurisdiction. So it would not be possible to get certain types of industry, or get one or another.
Thank you. Delegate Cole, is there a follow-up?
Yes. So again, still that would, if they did it broadly, then it would still allow for or remove protections for residents if they could actually go both ways on the tax.
I mean, Delegate, our chair might respond.
Yes.
I think how the amount of the tax is determined by elected officials, and we have to trust elected officials that are going to try to maximize what they're trying to accomplish for their citizens.
Thank you.
And I don't think the elected officials across the Commonwealth of Virginia are any better or worse on average than the ones that are in these other pieces of legislation.
Thank you. Chair Watts, do you have a question? Okay. Any other questions from members of the committee? All right, so is anyone in the room who is in support of HB 10? Please come forward. All right, is there anyone in the room opposed to HB 10? Please come forward. There is no online testimony for this. I will bring it back to the committee. And infrastructurally, I wanted to say to Delegate that this is pretty much different than the three of the pieces of legislation that we just heard, where you do some massive changes to the code. It does break all of the incremental precedents. It does remove the equity guardrail, which is the main point here. Is not anything administrative, but so because of that, we don't have any, we don't know what the impact of revenue is going to have, and so I just wanted to make sure that you speak in addition to of that metric, if you would like to offer any additional pieces of your testimony.
Yes, Madam Chair, thank you. So the incremental revenue or not incremental revenue, localities have the wherewithal to set a tax rate. This is simply allowing them to set the tax rate differently on land than on the improvement.
All right, so I go back to the members of the committee. I have Chair Watts.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I will speak to the bill after hearing the answers and testimony. There are two major changes in this bill. One, the prior bill applies only to cities. And so in applying only to cities, you were applying to a relatively small jurisdiction that may have core city problems. And that's why we heard from First Cities in support of them. And we heard the specific cities who feel that they have a redevelopment need in their core. And that is why it is very specific. The change before us not only allows you to tax the improvement at more than the land, but it's also saying all localities. So now this is very much of the neighborhood of something like a homestead exemption or whatever. I don't know all of the things that this might turn out to be if you applied it to suburban sprawl and who knows what all in all of the localities. So because of that, this is major tax policy change. Perhaps at some point, if you can bring examples from elsewhere in the country where it's used, we might consider it. But again, the huge change from concentrating just on urban redevelopment within core cities where they are asking for it to this broad application to all 133 localities of the Commonwealth causes me great concern.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Delegate Keys-Gamarra.
Yes, Madam Chair, just a comment and then a motion. Thank you, Chair Watts. My biggest concern here is possible disparity of treatment between various communities and what that outcome might be. Without further guidance, I can't support it. So, Madam Chair, I motion to lay this gently on the table.
It has been moved to lay on the table. Is there a second?
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to lay HB 10 on the table. Clerk, open the roll. All right. All right, clerk, close the roll. It has been voted, HB 10 is voted to be tabled, 10 yeas. Nays are 0. Thank you. You have another bill, Delegate McNamara. You have HB 68.
Yes.
And so go ahead with your testimony.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I did talk with Chair Watts earlier today. We are trying to fine-tune the wording on this bill, so we might request, with your concurrence and guidance, that we delay till next Tuesday.
Okay, so for HB 68, the patron has requested to go by for the day. Committee moves one motion.
So moved.
It has been moved and seconded to have HB 68 go by for the day. This is a voice vote. All who are in favor say yay. Yay. Aye. Nays have the same option. So HB 68 will go by for the day. Thank you, Delegate.
Thank you very much.
All right. All right, so now we have Delegate Fagans with HB 175. Delegate Faison, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Hello, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee. HB 175 ensures that the surviving spouses of service members who have died in the line of duty are not unintentionally burdened by real property taxes that the voters of the Commonwealth authorized for them to be exempt from. In 2024, Virginia voters overwhelmingly approved a constitutional amendment expanding eligibility for real property tax exemption to include surviving spouses of service members who died in the line of duty. Additionally, in 2025, with my bill, HB 1868, we expanded it to include deaths by suicide with a line of duty determination. While that amendment correctly expanded eligibility, while a constitutional amendment correctly expanded eligibility, it produced an unintended consequence. The bill states that notwithstanding provisions of Subdivision 1 for tax years beginning on and after January 1st, 2026, the governing bodies of localities may, by ordinance, provide up to a total exemption of real property tax exemptions under the article of dwellings for any excess value for such situated on the property that is zoned as a single-family residential. Because of the existing statutory caps tied to average assessed home values, many surviving spouses who voters intended to fully protect are now receiving a real property tax bill simply because they live in a high-cost or rapidly appreciating housing markets. This is actually impacting 56 surviving spouses within Virginia Beach. House Bill 175 looks to fix that problem. It gives local governments the option by ordinance to provide a real property tax exemption regardless of the spouse's assessed value of their home. This bill does not expand who qualifies, it does not mandate exemptions, and it does not impose any cost on the Commonwealth. It simply looks to restore the local flexibility the exemption functions as voters intended. It's tailored, locally controlled solution, and I respectfully urge that the subcommittee report House Bill 75 and vote favorably.
All right, thank you to the patron for House Bill 175. I will open up questions from the committee. All right, is there anyone in the room who is in support of HB 175? All right, is there anyone in the room who is opposed to HB 175? Please come forward. All right, I think we have one person for virtual testimony, I believe is the Honorable Phil Kellum, who is the Commissioner of Revenue of the City of Virginia Beach, who is online to testify for HB 175.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
I think Delegate Fagans did a superb job of summarizing the elements involved. We have currently 56 surviving spouses of members of the armed forces who died in the line of duty or were killed in action. There was a desire for the Assembly to simplify the separation between those two designations, and it was put to the voters by referendum in 2024, and that eliminated the local option for local governing bodies to provide a tax classification and set their own local rate for those surviving spouses who died in the line of duty. This legislation would restore that local option that was removed when the classifications were combined. The impact to the City of Virginia Beach would be nominal, $106,416, and that would be spread among the 56 surviving spouses. I will say, and finally, that these are individuals that have been highly impacted in our community. It may not be the same circumstance in another community. I doubt that the other communities are as impacted as Virginia Beach, but this legislation allows for local option, so it would be up to the locality. And I'll be glad to respond or answer any questions you may have.
Thank you to the Honorable Phil Kellum for your testimony. I was just given some calculations from your office, and I will pass them out to each member, or I'll have the clerks to do it to make sure that each member gets. We'll pass it.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I attempted to load that into the chat or and I was inept. I'll do better.
All right, thank you. Do we have anyone for online testimony who is opposed to the legislation? All right, I will bring it back to committee for any questions for the patron of HB 175. All right. Yes, Delegate Garrett.
I want to take the most public forum I could find to apologize to Delegate Fagans.
Do your mic.
Hard time.
Delegate Garrett.
I want to make sure that people hear this.
I just wanted to take the most public forum I could to apologize to Delegate Feggins for giving him such a hard time last fall and admit that I'm occasionally wrong. I would make the appropriate motion to move the bill forward at the appropriate time.
Thank you, Delegate Garrett. I would like to offer the patron last words.
One of the most important things that we've heard is that as we've been trying to make sure that we're honoring this service over the past few years of the surviving spouses, as we've added on to the line of duty determination to make sure that it just wasn't those killed in action, but those that died from training accidents. The work that we did last year to add on those that have died from suicide. Sometimes when you're trying to do great things, unintentional consequences happen, and I think this is a great way for us to fix what we've been trying to do, is to make sure that the surviving spouses of those that have died in the line of duty are offered the real property tax exemption that the voters of the Commonwealth want to see.
Awesome. So I appreciate the patron for bringing this legislation where we need to align what we did, what the voters decided in the Constitution, and to align our statute to make sure that no one falls through the cracks. So the committee operates on motion.
Move report.
Second.
It has been moved and reported to report HB 175. Clerk, open the roll, please. All right, close the roll. HB 175 has been reported with yeas 10, nays 0. Thank you for the delegate. The bill is reported.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and members of the subcommittee.
All right, thank you so much. All right, so next we will have Delegate Rasool with HB 334.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee. Pleased to be with you. We've got House Bill 334, the 1% sales tax for school capital improvement bill. This has been a long time coming. We've passed it out of the General Assembly with fine help from Chairwoman Watts, but it didn't quite make it to the finish line across the way, and here we are again. This authorizes counties and cities across the Commonwealth to impose an additional local sales and use tax of up to 1% for school construction or renovation of capital projects. If approved by the voters, as people have seen before, this is up to the voters of the locality through a referendum, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have, Madam Chair.
Thank you to the delegate. Do we have any questions with the committee? All right, so I would like to open up for in-person witnesses who would like to speak in support of HB 334. Please come forward. And so because it's many of you, I want to possibly set a timer of 1 minute per person. And so we would adhere to that. So please state your name, who do you represent, and why you're in support of HB 334. Thank you.
Yes, good evening, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee. My name is Jeremy Bennett, representing the Virginia Association of Counties. I'd like to thank the patron for his long leadership on school construction issues, Madam Uber Chair, and the members of this committee. As the patron said, this bill has passed the General Assembly with broad bipartisan support, 2/3 majorities, 2 years in a row. It is a long-held VACO priority. We strongly urge you to give another tool in the toolbox of local governments to address a critical infrastructure need of providing quality, safe, modern learning environments for students across the Commonwealth. And as you can see, there is a broad coalition of support in favor of this bill. So thank you for your consideration.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Josette Bolva with the Virginia Municipal League. As one of VML's top priorities, we also strongly support this bill. Just would like to reiterate that this is not a mandatory tax increase. It's just a tool for localities to use to begin helping with the $26 billion construction problem we have. So we appreciate the patron for all of his work with us over the years, also with Delegate Watson, and hope you all support as well. Thank you.
Madam Chairwoman, as you know, Brian Pennington, City of Norfolk, representing your city. We are very desperate for additional funding tools and abilities for us to be able to pay for our schools, and so we welcome the delegates' leadership and hope it will be the will to pass this bill.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee. Patrick Finneran, representing Newport News Public Schools and Falls Church City Public Schools for this legislation. And I just want to thank the delegate for bringing this back again. Our locality, especially in Newport News, the city of Newport News also supports the bill, and we hope they can get this across the finish line this year. So thank you very much.
Good evening, Madam Chair. Matthew Stanley, representing the School Board of the City of Richmond, and Superintendent Jason Cameras, and of course the 22,000 students and 4,000 staff members here in the City of Richmond. We're very much in support of this bill. As you've heard, we have over $26 billion in need for school construction across the state. But here in RPS, we specifically have some very old historic buildings. 15 of our 50 buildings are now over 100 years old. The average age of our buildings is 63 years old. 36 of our 50 buildings were built over 50 years ago. We've struggled to build new buildings in the most recent decades. And then, of course, the $25 or $26 billion in need also doesn't address the maintenance and deferred maintenance needs that we have. Currently in the City of Richmond, we have over $43 million in immediate deferred maintenance needs. So further delay on providing localities with more tools to raise more revenue to support school construction would mean further delays, further damages, and increased costs down the road. So we encourage you to support this bill. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Madam Chair and members of the committee. I'm Ruth Morrison with the City of Richmond, united with our schools representative here in support of the bill. We would look forward to being able to bring this before our council and city discussion for public engagement and a needed tool to fund all of that maintenance that Mr. Stanley just discussed. Thank you.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Chad Stewart with the Virginia Education Association. We strongly support this bill. We have for years. We are very concerned about the growing school backlog of construction needs. On last accounting by the state, as you know, it was $25 million in 2021. It was growing at around $1 billion a year annually with no state support. There was some state input over the past few years, but it hasn't been nearly enough to even keep up with the backlog. We need some sort of pathway to deal with the backlog and work it down over time. In the absence of this, we don't really have any other options on hand. So we thank the patron for bringing the bill and hope you support it.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, Alan Siebert, Roanoke City Public Schools. We thank the patron and we support local control. Thank you.
Madam Chair, Tom Dick with Frederick County. The Board of Supervisors included this in their legislative programs. We support the bill. Thank the patron, and we hope you pass it forward. Thank you.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee. My name is Stacey Haney. I represent the Virginia School Board Association. We strongly support this legislation. It has been one of our top priorities for many years, and we hope that this is the year we can get it all the way across the finish line. Thank the patron as well. Thank you.
James Turpin, Coalition of High Growth Communities. We support the legislation and want to associate with the remarks of VACO and VML. Thank you.
Madam Chair, Laura Bateman with Virginia First Cities Coalition and also the Rappahannock-Rapidan Regional Commission. This legislation is a top priority of both organizations. And for all the reasons that you've heard, we just say ditto.
Good evening. Lauren Gilbert, Advantage Strategies, on behalf of Stafford County. Strongly support this legislation and thank the patron for bringing it once again. Thank you.
Good evening, Madam Chair. I'm Casey Walker with Chesterfield County. We support the bill and thank the patron.
Madam Chair and members of the committee, Michelle DeWitt, Deputy City Manager in the City of Williamsburg. We support the bill and thank the patron.
Wendy Ginsburg, City of Alexandria. We support the bill and thank the patron.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, Emily Webb on behalf of Norfolk City Public Schools and Alexandria City Public Schools. We also strongly support the bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Stephen Marcoux with Arlington Public Schools. For all the reasons stated, we support the bill.
Chris Lane on behalf of Arlington County. We support the bill and thank the patron.
And Preston Brown on behalf of Roanoke and Fredericksburg. Both cities support this bill.
All right, thank you. Is there anyone in the room who is opposed to this legislation? Come forward, please. Is there any online support for this bill? Go ahead and speak.
Yes.
Madam Chair, I'm Mary Beth Connolly, member of the Falls Church City Council and the chair of the Virginia Municipal League Human Development and Education Committee. As Ms. Bulova said, passage of this bill is a VML priority. It is broadly supported by local elected officials across the Commonwealth and will provide a quantifiable benefit to local governments and communities. It ensures that residents have a voice in decision-making with a referendum and provides local governments a new tool to address their own complex and challenging school construction and needs. Growing communities need funding to build more schools. Communities that are experiencing reduced school populations need funding to renovate old schools with the limitation of a smaller tax base. So substandard facilities negatively impact student learning, and this is a tool that will help improve Virginia public schools.
Thank you very much. Is there any online testimony opposed to this legislation? All right, seeing none, I will open it back up to committee members for any questions. Delegate Garrett.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would ask if the patron would yield for a question. And to the patron, so I go to Walmart and I spend money, and the county has adopted the tax, and so 1% of that can go to construct schools in the locality in which the Walmart is located. Is that correct?
Madam Chair, I would say to the delegate first. I thought you were going to apologize to me like you did to Delegate Fagan.
I didn't.
I'm sure you have said something offensive about me the past year, but
no, I told him he was going to lose. I knew you'd win.
Madam Chair, no, and in all seriousness, that's what would happen should the voters of that locality choose to endorse through a voter referendum.
So, Madam Chair.
Follow up,
Thank you, Madam
Garrett.
Chair. So if a citizen from, say, Cumberland County did all their shopping, since there's not a single supermarket in Cumberland County, let alone a Walmart, if they did all their shopping in Henrico, then Cumberland County would essentially be paying taxes to build schools in Henrico?
Madam Chair, Delegate Garrett, that would be correct, and of course they would have the freedom to choose which county they go to.
Right, but they couldn't. Groceries. But they couldn't do their retail shopping in their own county. So, Madam Chair, further question.
Follow up, the Delegate Garrett.
So the city of Richmond has real needs that were articulately addressed by Mr. Stanley, I believe. But if the majority of retail spending by residents of the city of Richmond is done in, say, Henrico or Chesterfield, then the residents of the city of Richmond would be paying higher taxes to build schools in Henrico and Chesterfield, right?
Madam Chair, Delegate Garrett, that is the choice of where they choose to go and purchase their groceries.
Madam Chair, final question.
Final question, Delegate
Thank you,
Garrett.
Madam Chair. Grateful. But if there is no place that they can shop where they live, then they will pay taxes to build schools in someone else's locality. Am I correct?
Madam Chair, Delegate Garrett, I would say that, it's a little bit of a red herring when you're talking about, for example, Richmond City and Henrico and Chesterfield. There are certainly plenty of places to go. Your first example was probably a little bit more spot on, that there are some spots where we have grocery or food deserts where it may be a little bit more difficult, for sure. But these are good public policy debates that can happen locally and that people can determine what they would like to do in each locality.
Thank you. Delegate Cole.
So on the referendum, is it that the locality is or the local board decides to put it to a voter referendum, or is this going to all of, is it the voters who choose? Is it on the referendum for November for all voters? And if the voters choose in that locality to pass it?
Madam Chair, Delegate Cole, it would be up to the governing body of the locality, in this case the city or county, would choose whether or not to then send it forward to the voters in a referendum.
Delegate Cole, any follow-up?
Just so similar to a bond referendum. Okay.
Thank you. Any more questions with committee members? So I will allow the patron last words.
Well, I would like to tell that army of people who just came and spoke, I have like 20 other bills, so yeah, I hope you can follow me around everywhere we go. But, really, it is tough. I will say a couple things. It is tough to have over $25 billion worth of school construction needs, and that number is actually a couple years dated, so it has certainly since grown. And In part, I will say, and maybe I shouldn't, but I will say that in part to Delegate Garrett's point, this is one small tool in the toolbox, and it really isn't necessarily the best way to be funding school construction long term. But what we're trying to do is achieve some parity and at least have one tool as we move forward.
All right, thank you. We have a follow-up with members of the committee. Delegate Keys-Gamarra.
Your Honor, sorry. Madam Chair, I have a motion when that's appropriate.
So let me follow up with Delegate Carroll. Did you have a question?
Negative.
All right, so Delegate Ware.
Madam Chair, I'd like to hear the motion first. I think I know where it's going, but I'd like to speak to the motion when it occurs.
All right, so Delegate Keys-Gamarra had a motion.
Move to report.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to report HB 334. Clerk, open the roll, please.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Delegate Ware, would you like to speak to that motion?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I've been serving on this committee for, as I mentioned, since I came in 29 years ago, and in recent years, individuals representing the localities that are listed, Charlotte, Gloucester, Halifax, and so on, have come before this committee asking for individual authorization to bring this to their voters. In fact, the first one was a Republican colleague of ours who did that. I chaired it at the time. He asked me, can we have this show up on the docket? And I said, yes, we can. I voted no on that, and I have voted no on a number of individual localities. The General Assembly has seen fit, since these have come along, to the best of my knowledge, to authorize everyone that has come along. It seems to me that there are a number of other localities that ought to be allowed the option that is being suggested here statewide, and so I will be supporting it. I think there's no reason to set apart these 9 localities from the other 130 that there are, and the needs have been well expressed, so I will be supporting the motion to report.
All right, so it has been moved and seconded to report HB 334. Clerk, open the roll, please. Clerk, close the roll. HB 334 has been reported with yeas 8, nays 2. Thank you. Thank you to the patron.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee.
All right, so last but not least, we have HB 341, Delegate Martinez.
I was going to say good afternoon, but it's now good evening, Chair and Committee. HB 341 is identical to my HB 4 from 2024 and HB 1768 from last year that made it all the way to the governor's desk with bipartisan support. And one of the things I want to make clear that this is not a tax to be imposed. It's a tax that's already been voted on and used for several years. So what we're trying to do is just reallocate who gets the revenue. In 2020, the General Assembly adopted Section 58.1-1735 authorizing cities and counties the ability to impose a 5-cent tax on plastic bags. Towns were not included in this authorization. Tax revenue must be used for specific uses: environmental cleanup, providing educational programs designed to reduce environmental waste, mitigating pollution and litter, and providing reusable bags to recipients of supplemental nutrition assistant programs like SNAP or SNAP or Women, Infants, and Children program benefits. Many towns provide services that would qualify for this tax revenue funding. For example, Leesburg has a robust recycling program for residents and downtown businesses, many litter prevention and collection programs, and an active resident environmental education program. Counties impose this tax on businesses within incorporated towns, but there is no requirement to distribute any of this general tax revenue within the town corporate limits. The proposed legislation calls for distribution of the bag tax to be based on the same formula that is used to distribute sales tax revenues. This is an existing method that is understood and easily administered and would not require the tracking of point of sale tax generation. Based on FY 2025 calendar year bag tax revenue in Loudoun County, the town of Leesburg would have benefited from $43,493 in additional tax revenue to support recycling and litter collection efforts. Loudoun County itself collected $828,448. Leesburg's FY 2025 sales tax distribution percentage was 6.31%. Mayor Kelly Burke from the town of Leesburg is here virtually, and I'll defer to her for any questions that has to deal with the town and its recycling program. Though I was a member of the town council for over 20 years, and we have a very active environmental committee that could use this money to help educate and outreach, especially to our schools. Thank you.
Oh, okay. So I believe that Kelly Burke could not get online to testify, but I would like to note that she is from the town of Leesburg.
Correct. And I will say in the past, I've had currently the town of Vienna, Reston, I'm Herndon, and other towns, Percival, I can go on. We're all very supportive of this, so they could use this tax revenue.
All right, thank you to the delegate for HB 341. I'd like to open up for questions from the committee. Seeing none, I would like to ask for if anyone in the room is in support of HB 341, please come forward.
Good afternoon, Joseph Oliva with VML. We support this bill. Thank you.
All right, anyone else in the room in support of HB 341? All right, is there anyone in the room who is opposed to HB 341? Is there anyone else online? Okay. No, so we do not have any online testimony, so I would, again, open it up for members of the committee. Delegate Keys-Gamarra.
When at an appropriate time, I have a motion.
It is the appropriate time.
Move to report. Second.
It has been moved and properly seconded that HB 341 reports. Clerk, open the roll, please. All right, clerk, close the roll. HB 341 reports with ayes 7, nays 3. Thank you to the patron.
Thank you, Chair.
All right, so I believe that is the end of our docket on today. I want to thank members of the committee, help get the cobwebs out of this subcommittee. With that, the motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
All right, so I was like, all those who want to adjourn, I say aye. Aye. All right, thank you. So subcommittee number 2 is now adjourned. Thank you.